As we have discussed the patient statement generation process, next we're going to look at how you can move patients to pre-collections or generate a pre-collections letter or CSV file for patients who have had statements generated in the past. So I'm going to close out of these tabs. Now, to go to the pre-collection screen, you have under section C, generate patient pre-collections letter, which is the C4. So you can click on this and you will get filters similar to that you have on the generate patient statement screen. You can use the legal entity, the billing entity, or you can use the name for the user to generate a pre-collection for an individual user. You can use a case number, or you can use the due amount from and to. You also have patient last name splits that you could use, and no payment received since is another option, another filter option that you have. You also have statement generated count and pre-collection generated count as well. And also you have exclude patients with on account, which is patients that you have credit money on their account. If you want to exclude them from the list, you can also check this box to exclude them. So we will, let's say if you want to run statements, or sorry, pre-collections for patients who have had 3 statements in the past. So we can just enter 3, and so the fourth one is going to be a pre-collection letter. So we'll hit search and it'll show you all the list of patients based on whatever parameter that you have entered. Show the list, and you would here have the different options to generate the CSV, either letter or the file. So as we saw on the statements screen, you have the patient details, that patient information. You would also have the charges, last statement date, and pre-collection count as well. You can even generate multiple pre-collections letters and also set up multiple pre-collection letters for patients. Now, once this list gets generated, you can do a select all here, list the or select the patients to move them to a pre-collection, or you can check the individual patients, and there's the CSV option, the detailed CSV, which will be saved to your computer, and you can upload that to the statements company. You can upload that to the statements company. If you want to print and mail it yourself, there is this pre-collection letters that will be available. There are a couple of standard pre-collection letters that are in the system, and you can hit the generate letter to have that patient or the pre-collection letter generated for the patient. So I'm going to hit the generate letter there. And so this is a pre-collection letter that gets generated for the patient, which you can print and mail the patient the pre-collection letter. Now, once you generate a pre-collection letter for the patient's line substatus changes to pre-collection. Now, if you go and look at this patient, and so I'll just pull up this patient's record number. So all those bill patient lines, or all those patients that lines that got pulled onto the pre-collection screen, will now have moved to a pre-collection line substatus. So let me just find the lines that were in that had pulled and were on the pre-collection list. Okay, so you can see there's a line here which is in the pre-collection status. So this was moved to the pre-collections, and so you can see that the line has a line substatus is pre-collection because we generated the pre-collection letter for this patient. So any patients that have a pre-collection or have had the pre-collection letter or the file generated will have a line substatus of pre-collection. Now you can pull up a list of pre-collection patients if you need to at some point in time look at a report to look at a list of pre-collection patients. You can run either this, go to the report central and click on the patient statement summary report, and you can select the report type here as pre-collection, and it'll show you the patient who have had a pre-collection letter generated. So you can see that on the list. The other method of finding a patient who has had a pre-collection letter generated is you can go to the report screen, and on the summary and counter line activities report, which is report number I8, you can run it just with a pre-collection substatus. So on the line substatus here, we can just select the line substatus as pre-collection, and we can hit search, and it'll show you all the patients that have the pre-collection substatus. So that's another way that you can look up the pre-collection patients list. Now, if you want to move a patient out of pre-collections, or even if it's a particular date, or move the entire patient out of the pre-collection, you have to clear off this line substatus from each line which has got the pre-collection substatus, just go and remove the pre-collection substatus. So we can change it to the blank status and hit save line, and so this status will be removed from the the pre-collection will be removed or cleared from this patient. So it clears it only at the line level. Of course, if there are multiple lines, you'll have to also clear it off from each multiple line, each date of service as well. So that was how you could generate a pre-collections letter. We would also look at how you can set up the pre-collections template, the different letters. That would be covered in the administrator part of this session, or where you would set it up and how you can use the group code pre-collection so that it appears on the pre-collection generation screen. Once you have the pre-collections list generated, the final step is moving the patient to collection or generating a collection agency file. This method or the step to create this collection agency file is, again, go under reports, and there is this patient generate patient in collections list, which is C10. So when you click on the C10 report, brings up the screen, you want to say how many days since the patient has been in pre-collection. So let's say 30 days since the patient has been in pre-collection, for example. We can hit search here, so it'll show you all those patients who have had 30 days in pre-collections. And then you can check the box to select that patient, or you can do a select all, or you can select patient whom you want to move to the pre-collection or the individual patient. And then you have the generate detailed CSV format and generate CSV format, which is a comma separated value file formats, which you can generate the file, save it on your computer, and send it to the collections agency. Here I'm going to just hit the generate option. I'll just hit one of the CSV formats. So that opens the CSV file. When the CSV file gets generated, do not make any changes to the file. Just close off the file. Do not save the file or make any changes to it. Just close off the file. Once it's generated, it marks in the system that the collection agency file was generated for this patient. Now, if we go to this patient's account, and I'm going to open up this patient's account, you would see that this patient now has those claims in the in collection status. So let me try to find the claims that have had a pre-collections lines generated. I should have looked at the date that it was generated for. Let me just try to find the date. It's 126 and 224. So we're going to find that dates on the patient's charge screen. So that's 126. That's one of the dates. So you can see that it has the status as in collection. Also the line substatus you can see is in collection. So we'll look at the 127 date 2. So I think it's this 127. I got the date wrong here. Okay, it's 224. So 224 is the other date. So let me find that date here. 224. Okay, so 224, you can see that is also in collection, and it's also got a line substatus of collection. Also, if you go into the patient's account or open up the patient, and I'll just click on the edit to access the patient screen, you would see the patient's account type has also been changed to collection. So that's what would happen when you have moved a patient to collections. The account type will also change to collection, and both the status will be in collection, whereas the line substatus will be collection. Now, to run a report or a list of patients who have had in collection or who are in collection status, again, you can run the same report, patient statement summary report, and you can run it with collection as the report type. The other ways that you can run the report is, of course, the summary and counter line activities report. This time you can either use line substatus as collection, or you can also use the status as in collection. So there's an in collection status, so you can use either of the statuses to find patients that are sitting in collection. There's also another report that you can run, which is patient collections report, C11. This report also shows you patients who are in collections. You can also run this report to see patients that are in collection status. So this is the charge accounting date, which is the charge creation date, is what the accounting date that you would use here, and you can also run the report using the or you can get a list of patients in collection using this patient collections C11 report as well. So that was the patient pre-collections generation, and also how you can generate the patient collections list as well.